Trigger Happy here, and I'm back again with another tutorial. This tutorial is going to be on motion tracking. So let's begin. I do want to mention that, or a little update for you guys about Sony Vegas. In my previous video where I stated that I will be making a tutorial series, I stated that I will be making tutorials for Sony Vegas, but seeing how I had problems with my rendering with Vegas on my last montage, I won't be using Vegas anymore for video editing purpose, but I will be using Adobe Premiere, so I might be making tutorials for that instead of Vegas. And I do want to apologize for the fan noise you hear in the background. That's just my computer beasting away because my computer is so pro since I built it myself. So yeah, let's begin. Here's what the final product will look like. See this motion track text on cracked with nice cinematic particles. Let's see that again. It looks pretty good. So yeah, the programs you need to do this is Adobe After Effects or Sony Vegas Pro 10 or 9. I'm just using After Effects for my rendering, and you need Cinema 4D, very important, and you need Boujou 5 or Boujou 4. So let's begin. Open up After Effects or Sony Vegas in some of you guys' cases, and let me just import my footage and just drag it and create a new composition. So I'm just gonna move this to where it begins to move and trim the layer, and let me just trim the comp too. Okay, the first thing I want to do is resize this. So let me go to composition settings and change it to 1280 by 720, which is YouTube quality or size, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just going to change my frame rate to 30 seconds and click OK. Then let me just click on my clip and drag this down to fit. Alright, that looks good. So now I'm just gonna add a quick color correction. So you don't have to add a color correction. I just like to do this to bring out the cinematics a little bit more. So just give me a second. That looks good. And so now what you want to do, if you're using Vegas, just render it. And yeah, let me just add this to my render queue. I'm gonna select, the format you want to render it is in PNG sequence. So if you're using Vegas, just select PNG sequence, and yeah, so use composition settings, and I'm gonna save this to my desktop. Really important is that you have to save this in a folder, because every frame in your video is gonna make a image for that frame. So if you're recorded at 60 frames a second and your video is like 10 seconds long, that's 600 photos right there. So just put it in a folder to keep it organized. So let me just save that and let me render it. I'm gonna pause my capturing thing until it's done, so to keep the time lower. So I will be right back. Okay, it's done now, so I'm just gonna close down After Effects. Don't save. Alright, so if you see, open up your PNG sequence folder, you see so many images, it's not even funny. So yeah, so now what you want to open is Boujou 5 So let me just quickly open this. This background looks amazing. Oh yeah. Alright, so now just go to import image sequence, which is over in your toolbox in the left hand corner, and just search for your folder, PNG image, and select the very first image, which is going to be 0000, whatever, and click open. And one thing that is very important is that you keep the same frame rate throughout the entire process. So I rendered it out in After Effects in 30 frames a second, so I'm just going to select 30 frames a second and click apply and close. But I found out that for some reason Boujou, when you click apply, it changes the frame rate. So I'm just gonna go to setup, edit sequence, and put it back to 30 frames a second and click apply. And just check it again and see if it's on 30, which it is, and click OK. So now you're just gonna go to track features, which is the third one down, and click track features. Select all frames and click OK and start. Depending on the speed of your computer, the time is gonna vary. Because my computer is custom built and it's so fast, because I built it specifically for gaming, so it could work for editing too, it's not gonna take that long. But most of you guys have like one of those pre-made computers that you bought from Best Buy, so it's probably gonna take a little while because the parts aren't that good. So this is just gonna take me a minute to do, so I'm not gonna pause it, so I'll just wait. So yeah, again, I just want to say that if you guys have like tutorial ideas for me to do, just like leave questions in the comment section and I'll do them. There is a guy that asked me to do a specific tutorial. His name is, I believe, Gravitron or something like that. So don't worry, Gravitron. I haven't forgotten about you. I'm still trying to finish up the things I promised to do for you. So yeah, this is almost finished. So after you do the track features, you're gonna see all this red pluses with yellow lines coming out of them, which is very chaotic in the scene. So now what you want to do is go to camera solve, which is exactly below the track features, and select camera solve, and then make sure all frames are selected, and in the advanced solve refinement area, select optimize camera path smoothness. Click that and start. This shouldn't take that long to do. Yeah, see, it's practically done. So now you're just gonna see, you won't see all those crosses anymore, and you're just gonna see all these dots. And these dots are very important because now you're gonna go to scene geometry and add your points so that Cinema 4D could use them. So click on scene geometry, add coordinates from hints, and this default is going to be origin. So I'm just going to change that to the z-axis, which is like if you're zooming in and out, that's the z-axis. So you're just going to want to select the points or 2 points to use for the z-axis. So it's going to be like that and all the way over there. So let me just select my points. Let's see which to choose. I'm going to choose this and hold control to select multiple points. So after you select the first one, just hold control and select the next one. Let me see if that could work. Let's see. No, that won't work. So let me just select back this and select this one. That will work perfectly. And after you finish selecting your points, just click update coordinate frames and it will, connect to selected, and it will connect those two dots. So just add another point and change that one to the x-axis and select from left to right, points from left to right. So let me just select those. I'm just gonna select this one, and actually no, I'm gonna select this one, and this one, and connect selected to, and then just add another one for the y-axis, which is up and down, and select your coordinates. So I'm gonna select, I'm just gonna use this, and this one seems good. Actually no, let's see. Alright, that will do fine, and connect selected to. And then finally, you're just gonna add an origin, and you only need 1 point for this. So my origin is going to be, let's see, this one. Actually no, this one, and then just click connect to selected, and whoops, I just made a mistake. So just add a coordinate and change that one to the y-axis, and just gonna select that and that and connect to selected. Now you should have 4 of them, and click update to coordinate frames. Click that a couple times and close it. So to see if you did a good job, you want to go to add test object, which is right here, add test object, and if it looks straight enough, then you did a good job, which it does right there. So okay, let me just delete that test object. And now you just want to go to export camera solve. I'm gonna export this to my desktop and change this to, save it as a motion. Save. I'm gonna make sure the export type is on Cinema 4D, and scale by scene, you want to have that 100, very important, and just click save. Now just exit out Boujou. Make sure you saved your project so that if you need to make a change to it, so yeah, I'm gonna save this to my desktop and select motion again. And save it. So now you want to open up Cinema 4D that you saved to your desktop, which is the project, and click open. So let me just wait till that opens, and yeah, then we'll continue. So when it opens, you're gonna get this little screen thing. Very important is that the scale is on 10, and click OK. So now you want to go to this little light with the 4 arrows coming out of it. Hold, and it should bring up this, or click and hold, and it should bring up this thing and add a background. So now what you see is you see your thing, but there's like no footage on it. Let me just extend this to the full frame right there. So now you just want to create a new material. So go to File, New Material, and double click on that new material. And in the texture area, just want to click and load image. And go to your desktop to the PNG sequence where you saved your thing. Double click on that and select the very first image, which is that one. And then it's going to bring up this screen, and just click no. So since it's a PNG sequence, you're going to only have the first image, so it's not going to have all of them. So what you want to do is just where you see the name, just click on that and go to animation and calculate. And that should load every single frame. And then just drag that material onto your background layer, which is going to create this. But as you can see, it's like I didn't really select the right points, so now my floor is off. So let me show you how to fix that with your text object. So go to MoGraph and go to text object. You see how it's linked? I'm just gonna name this tutorial. And yeah, so now if you render this, you see how it's linked. So I'm just gonna select this, select my text object, and go to the rotate tool and rotate this so it's even with the background. Let me see, and let me just rotate this forward. And that looks pretty good right there. So I'm just gonna move this to the center. Just select back your arrow tool and move it to the center. Looks good right there. Alright. So this is what I was talking about, that it's important to save your Boujou project so you could select different points, because this is kind of leaned or whatever because I didn't select the right points. So yeah, so if you render this, you see how it has like a sharp edge. So I'm just gonna increase the depth of this text. I'm just gonna add like that looks good right there, like a 70. And then just go to caps and add a fillet cap on both sides. So if you render this, kind of smoothen out the edges so it's not that like pointy. And then I'm gonna add a let's see I'm gonna add a color to my text. I'm gonna add maybe a dark red and just drag that onto my text. So if I render that, it looks pretty good. It still looks kind of lean, so let me just fix this. That looks much better. Let me just move this over a little bit. And yeah, so now you're gonna add a floor, and then on that floor you're gonna right click on it, go to Cinema 4D tags, and go to compositing and turn scene by camera off. So if you render this, you still see the background and stuff. So I'm just gonna drag my thing my background to my floor. Now you should see this, but you don't need to worry about that. And then I'm gonna add a sky and do the same thing. Right click Cinema 4D tags, composite in, and turn scene by camera off. And then finally I'm gonna add a light. So if I render that, looks pretty good. Let me just adjust this a little more. Yes, that looks perfect right there. And then finally, you just have to render this out. So I'm just gonna go to render settings, output, make sure it's 1280 by 720, and I'll select frame range and put it to all frames. So now just go to save. I'm gonna save this to my desktop. Motion again, save. I'm gonna change the format to an AVI movie, and now go to anti-aliasing, put it to best, and change the image to, or the filter to animation, and just exit out that. And now just render it. This is gonna take a little time, so I'm just gonna pause this and I'll be right back. Alright, so it's finished. So after this, you're basically done. So let me just close this. No, I do not want to save. And yeah, but I'm not done. If you have trap code particular, then this part of the tutorial is for you. For those who don't have it, then yeah, you're finished. You don't have to go any further. So I'm just gonna open up Adobe After Effects and basically just add some cinematic particles. Just give me a second while this opens. And what you're going to do now is import your footage. Just give me a second, close project, import my footage, desktop, CSC, motion AVI, and create a new composition with it. Now, if you play this, you see it's looking nice so far. Alright, so you want to go to layer, new, and add adjustment layer. And to that adjustment layer, just go to file, effects, and go to, let's see, trap code, and go to particular. And just change the rendering to screen. Go forward. I'm gonna drag this down to the bottom and let me trim this. So now just go to emitter, particles, go to 20 particles per second, emitter type, go to box, and go all the way down to emitter size X, change that to 1200, emitter size Y, change that to 500, and emitter size Z, change that to 350. and then just close down emitter and go to particles. Lives per seconds, change that to 8. Life randomness, change that to 15%. Size, change that to 1.5, 1.5. Or maybe you can use a 1. Actually, 1.5. Size randomness, just leave that to whatever. And let's see. You're done with particles. Now go down to physics. Gravity, change that to -10. And open down air. Go to spin frequency, change that to 45. Wind X 45. Wind Y -30. And wind Z, change that to 30. And you're done. So now you want to add a Gaussian blur, so go to effects, blur and sharpen, and Gaussian blur, and change this to maybe a 1.5, or 1.5, and you are officially done. So all you got to do now is just render, and just take your time when selecting your particles or your points, so the floor will be even, like a even surface, and then you can have like a better looking text. So yeah, that's it for the tutorial. Like and subscribe, and leave a comment on what you guys want me to do in future tutorials. So yeah, sorry that the tutorial was so long, and have a nice day. Goodbye.